Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. It's great to have you with us. We are going to be covering a story here shortly, turning to the state of Nevada. A few number of months ago, the state legislature there finally passed a bill that said that there was going to be a cap placed on the amount of collection costs that a homeowner association should be able to shouldn't expect to collect any more than a certain amount. I think it was like $1,950 for past due accounts.
Not for the assessments themselves, but for the collection
of those assessments.
Yeah.
That's right. And of course, just recently that was overturned by the Supreme Court there in the state of Nevada. So it's interesting. We're going to take a look at that. But before we do, I'd like to just let our listeners know we've got a great free resource for you. It's called What's New. That's a newsletter that we put together bi-monthly here at New Concepts. It's yours free for the asking. A lot of the topics that you hear us discuss on the show, we talk in further detail in that newsletter. A lot of the people that are on our show will be guest writers for that newsletter. We have over 23,000 subscribers now. It's chock full of information from free webinars that we put on how to rent out a property, how to read a financial statement, what do you need in insurance as a homeowner, what are your duties if you're going to be on the board of directors of your homeowner association? That and so much more. All you need to do is give us a call during the week, 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori, and she'll make sure that you start receiving your free subscription. And then we want people to give us feedback on our show, too. Tony, tell our listeners about that.
We always like to hear from our listeners. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you think about what we have said on different topics. And we want to know if there's anything you need more information about. Call our hotline. Leave us a message, 952-224-2668, 952-224-2668. That's the Where You Live hotline. Tell us what's on your mind, and we will address it as soon as we can on a radio program.
That's right. Well, let's get to this next story, and this comes from a periodical called Vegas Inc. magazine back in late May here. It says Nevada HOAs win ruling over collection costs. We talked about that the Nevada homeowner associations and their collection agencies have finally prevailed in this latest court ruling in disputes over collection costs for unpaid HOA assessments. How this all began or developed initially as units were going into foreclosure, the market for people buying these units back again after the real estate bubble popped are investors who are turning them around for rentals and also fixing them up to resale for a homeowner. And they were complaining, saying, we've got a lot of costs. We're getting these units that are dilapidated. There's a lot of work to them. Can't we do something about all these extra collection costs and fees that have been added on now that we are taking ownership? And a lot of this was happening, not if this isn't the case when you go through a foreclosure and it is taken back by the mortgage company, and then the mortgage company sells to investor, because there is already a cap on how far back you can go.
Well, but for monthly assessments.
Yes. But this was primarily for people who were stepping in at the sheriff's sale, and they were saying, I want to take that position where I'm going to be responsible, but to do that means to get ahead of the mortgage company, which means now the association says, well, we've got all of these collection costs, all of these fees that need to be taken care of.
And would that
not just-
include the monthly assessment?
And it would
as well?
include
So
that
would
as well.
include monthly assessment and all the collection costs up to that point. This is the sheriff's sale where an investor would be trying to snap up these.
Yes, and so
these
they
homes.
said, "Hey, we want to try and diminish our costs here a little bit to help us out." So who did they turn to? They turned to a state agency in Nevada.
This cracks me up, Gene. Businesses are always talking, including us, about how we want less government regulation. Government regulation is putting the kibosh on the free market. Now, here are investors, business people who are buying these as investments, turning to the government for help.
Again, it is what we talked about in our first story here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the sense of self-reliance?
That's right.
People are so quick and easy to say, I have an issue, and then they turn to the government and say, what are you going to do about it?
We can't make a killing on these homes because we're going to have to pay.
We're only making half a
We're
killing.
only making half a killing. Well, or whatever.
Yeah.
If the collection costs make it a not viable investment for you, then it's not an investment for you.
Then you don't buy it at that price.
But to try and get more government regulation in there,
I know. So
boggles my
anyway,
mind.
here's what happened. So they turned to a government agency. They turned to, in Nevada, an agency called the Financial Institutions Division, the FID, because they are charged with taking a look at regulating collection agencies and their practices in the state. However, they found out that this was the wrong way to go, because what had happened is we're talking about something that is a homeowner association issue, and a lot of what was being done in terms of foreclosure costs and trying to collect on this falls under something else, and that is state statutes guiding homeowner associations.
That's
and
right.
so
that was really convoluted when you stop and think about it. So they don't want to pay these collection costs at all, which the HOA can assess to the home, but the HOA is not assessing more money than what they've been charged by the collection agency. So they decide to go after the collection agencies and get them to lower their fees?
And through the homeowner associations, by saying to the homeowner associations,
you can't collect all of
this. You
this.
can't collect that. You've got to have a cap. And so here you have investors talking to this agency called the Financial Institution Division, the FID. And however, the people that are regulating condominiums is another agency. And that one is called the Commission for Common Interest Communities and Condominium Hotels. Instead of FID, it's CCI-CCH, okay?
All right. They regulate homeowner associations.
Yes. Folks, stay close to the playbook here so that we can keep you straight on this. And so what ended up happening is homeowner associations said, we don't think this is right. And so the Nevada State Supreme Court came down and they overturned this, and they said that no, that there is no longer a cap on the amount that you can collect, in terms of fees. And here is what the state Supreme Court said. They said there is no provision granting any other commission or department or authority to regulate or interpret the language of the chapter the court wrote in its order. So in other words, the court says, wait a minute, this falls under the jurisdiction of the Commission for Common Interest Communities and Condominium Hotels, not the FID. So the FID was stepping out of their authority to be able to require this.
That's what it's. And they went on to say the Nevada Supreme Court affirmed that the FID overstepped its authority when it issued an advisory opinion regarding HOA law, NRS 116. That is, and I think that was the right decision by the Supreme Court, don't you?
Yes. So what we have here is, it makes me ask the question, perhaps do we have too much government? You know,
now they're going after each other, these agencies.
You know, and there are a couple of issues that I have with something like this. The first of which is when you have so many different agencies that you don't even know which one is the right one to go to.
Yeah.
As Jeff Foxworthy would said, perhaps you have too much government.
That's right.
You know, and I just think that it is so confusing. Number two is these agencies are not like elected officials.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
they're usually appointed.
Yeah.
The directors of these agencies, so they're really unregulated by the people.
That's right. It is easy for me to say I like what's going on by this individual in government because I voted for them, or other people voted for them.
Or you have the opportunity to not vote for them.
To unvote them or out of office the next time election happens. That doesn't happen when you have appointed agencies. And I'd like to talk about that and the effect that it's having on us and just the management of homeowner associations and properties and our lives. Mm-hmm. But we'll do that after this message.